Hello and welcome to the Magical Boot, 72nd episode. This is Ronnie. I have Shudipta with me. Shudipta, how are you doing? Start with.
So far good. How are you?
All right. Been a very busy week. A lot of football has happened. Couldn't catch everything live, but tried to keep up as much as possible.
Yeah, same with me actually. So
Okay. Uh, if we are ready, I guess we can dive into anywhere you'd like to start.
yeah, we can actually start from La Liga or
Okay.
Spanish
Yeah.
Super Cup also.
Copa del Rey, I mean. Uh,
Yeah,
but,
Copa del Rey.
but before we jump into Copa del Rey, because we do it, we review it after a certain period of time, I guess we need to capture some of
Uh-huh.
the standings where the things are at the La Liga, and we can definitely come back to Copa del Rey after. Um,
Yeah,
so Barcelona is enjoying. Obviously, it was a big lead, but then it was cut by 3 points by Almeria last week. But still,
yeah.
considerable 7 points difference at the top. Real Madrid at second place. Um, how do you make of the the season so far for Barcelona?
This is their only chance to get any silverware or yeah, there are also Copa del Rey, I guess. But yeah, the big trophies. Um, I guess like this is the big one, the biggest one so far. Um, they got knocked out of uh, the Europa
Europa
League.
League, yeah.
Yeah, and also like there was a chance to make this um, gap into 11 points, I guess. But they could not do it. I actually saw the replay highlights of the game. Um, Funny thing is that they missed so many chances and so many
Against
near,
Almeria.
yeah, against Almeria.
Okay.
There are like so many missed chances there. Also, like I guess like there are fitness issues with Lewandowski, and Pedri is also out for a while.
And we don't have to
Um,
mention Usman Dembele.
oh yeah, Dembele. Finally, we talked about his injury this season.
Yeah, and and also, um, I think Christiansen have picked up a knock as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but with Marcos Alonso, he looks okay so far. So what I've seen, but there was this problems with like creatively. I saw this stat. Without Pedri, they suffer in like penetration, like the line breaking passes.
Hmm.
Because with Pedri, it is they played almost like 107 games. Although there were also Messi at the time,
Yeah.
but uh, the stats still says that like with Pedri they are better team because that line breaking passes are like 1.66 per game, like key passes, whereas without him it's like point six something. So this is huge actually. Also, expected goals or expected assist actually uh, grows bigger with him. Like it is almost like 8 point something, and without him it's like 4 point something. Um, so yeah, there are a few stats actually so far what I've seen, and he's also like one of the important piece of the puzzle. So they had to find a way, and they could not actually in this Manchester United game in the against Almeria as well. Almeria picked up a win against them for the first time in their history. So kudos
Yeah, it
to
was
them.
big.
They
It
played
was
well
big.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that goal was like I don't know. It actually took the roof of Mark Andre Ter Stegen.
Yeah, it was a brilliant hit. Um,
Yeah,
but overall, Barcelona still, I mean,
yeah.
technically, given that history of La Liga, if any team takes a lead, normally doesn't really buckle down as much. But again, we're talking about this Barcelona, still kind of new. They're still finding their way through, and they're doing it. They have to do it in a different way, other than like Pedri.
Yeah, I guess like they finally solved it in this last night games, which I actually fall asleep after first half.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's the game deserved to be fallen asleep.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a very boring
yeah.
game.
Also, technically, not that much actually interesting as well because they kind of saw what Real can do, what Barcelona can do. It was a little bit interesting. I guess that's why they own it. What they did actually, well, let me go into the board. Just a moment.
Okay, it's up there.
Yeah. So just imagine that like this is Barcelona. So like with Pedri, they sort of lined up like 4-3-3. Sometimes it looks like a diamond because Gavi moved there. But sometimes whenever they are in the final third, it look more like a genuine 4-3-3. Gavi roaming around this sort of area. So what they did actually without Pedri, there aren't any line breaking passes. So they had to actually do it physically. So and that actually that actually they solved with like Frank Cassie and Frankie De Jong. Both actually pushed up. Um and with Ferran Torres is sort of like a good false nine. Like he can link up with anyone in this position. Um, so what they did actually, uh, yeah, yeah, and Balde was giving the weight from there, uh, and yeah, Gabi was sort of like roaming around in this sort of area. Um and Frank Casey is like we have seen him so far playing a little bit deeper role, but in this match actually he actually broke Real Madrid defense quite a few times because as we know that like Valverde played and he has a tendency to give weight like sort of like a Gabi situation, but uh, he play as a false winger or something like that, and that's why actually Casey got some space behind him, and actually he uh, pushed up a little bit and create overload in this area, and that's why actually that's why actually the first goal or the only goal of the game came in. Real Madrid could not actually snip it around. Vini Junior actually tried to I don't know outrun Araujo again, but
Yeah,
he could not actually. He was
Araujo has bigger pocket.
yeah, exactly. He could not actually get in around this area where he looks a little bit yeah, this half space actually. Vinny Junior is much more dangerous, and most of the time he scores around this sort of area, actually, just outside of the 6 yard box. but Vinny Junior actually showed him to his wrong foot, but he did look dangerous in the set pieces. But so does Karim Benzema, because Benzema got yeah, they saw actually Barcelona was struggling whenever they are getting the long balls around the second post. So Benzema was lurking around this sort of area. Mm, they were almost successful quite a few times, but again, defensive routine for Barcelona this season a little bit, when I say, better than that we used to know actually Barcelona.
Yeah, no, I think this game Barcelona let Real play the game or play the ball mostly. I think even the stat on the ball position shows that, and also with
Yeah,
Frank
but there
Cassie,
weren't any sort of like direct
no,
penetration because
there was
it
no
was
shot.
so compact in the middle. Yeah,
Yeah, there's no shot on the target on Bernabeu. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, it was definitely not a great performance from Real Madrid. Um,
no.
we've seen so far. I mean, they've been hot and cold, mostly cold. Yes, they've been hot against Liverpool, but that's probably because of Liverpool, how bad they are. We've seen
Uh,
Wolves
we
and
will
Brighton.
go there
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Like it was a basic miss from Klopp's side. But yeah, but um, Real Madrid could have actually win also this game if they somehow, I don't know, change the writing of the like banner or something like this into Champions League or something like that, and then they will win the would have win the game.
Well, I think against Barcelona somehow. Let me go back and see, how Real can win against their midfield. If Modric and Cruz both are starting, they will be after a certain time they will be out of gas. One,
Yeah, that was also surprised me. Against Barcelona, they struggled last time when Modric and Cruz both played actually. They were outrun by Pedri and Gavi, and they thought like, okay, if Pedri is not there, Lewandowski is not there, and that means like there will be less physicality. But with Frank Kessie and Frankie De Jong, and there was this situation with like Vinny Junior and Frankie De Jong because they actually pull each other throats or something like that. It was funny to watch, but yeah, that actually showed up the physicality of this Barcelona midfield, especially this season,
and I
especially in the
fear for
league.
Vinny Junior because I don't think he's psychological like the Ronaldo Araujo has psychological edge on him. I
Yeah,
feel like each time he tries to go there, Araujo has a better hand on that battle, 1v1. And if,
no,
if even if he misses,
for
there is
Vinny,
Kunde.
yeah, for Vinny Junior. He he's a great player. Like in the beginning of the season, he is doing so many things right as well, and also like we saw him doing great things against like the teams who actually pushed up a little bit
Yeah.
further. Um, with Barcelona, he also had some performance as well. But thing is that like with Araujo, for some reason, like Araujo is a fast player. Also, like he just go, he doesn't give space to anyone. So
Yeah, he can.
that is
He
the
was really tight against Vinny.
yeah. So that is the thing. Vinny Junior did well in the beginning of the season in tight spaces, but he's not as good as Martinelli right now. Like so so far what we have seen, like if we compare we talked about this in the World Cup actually. Martinelli in some way, especially with against low blocks, because he's doing it like week in week out. And for Real Madrid's main, how can I say, strength is counter attack with Vini and Valverde pushed up and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't seen it.
So yeah, Barcelona, Barcelona would be happy with this win. I think this this was a very good chance for Real Madrid. If Barcelona lost the game, they would have lost
Yeah,
against Man United, Almeria, and then this game, and that
yeah,
could have continued in their psyche in the league. I think it's a
yeah,
lost opportunity for them. But yeah, just going back into the league itself. I mean, last weekend there was a big game of Madrid derby. Um,
yeah.
Angel Correa was shown a red card by Gil Manzano. I was seeing seeing that again. It was
It is
pretty.
yellow actually.
Yeah, that's a very petty one. But yeah, the
Yeah,
game ended in 1-1, which actually benefited Barcelona as well.
there
Uh,
are actually some talks going on with like outside of the pitch
I want to
with
come there.
Atletico.
I
Yeah,
definitely want to come there. Just saying about that. Let's talk about it as you brought it up. There has been huge acquisitions against Barcelona of paying through third party to the ref. Um, your reaction?
uh, I don't know. Like there are so many things. It's just allegation still, you know.
There's some serious serious proof. That's what it says.
Oh, then
Then
they should be punished
the
actually.
other La Liga teams, basically led by Atletico Madrid, created a motion. Only one team have supported Barcelona, and that is Real Madrid.
Well, we talked about this last time we were talking about La Liga and what's going on there, like with Real and Barca. They are, I don't know, like suddenly like larking again for their Super League proposition. There are some legal win actually with this. How can I say? Uh, Teams, and I don't know, like, but La Liga authority tried to bind both of the teams actually into something, but they're not actually going to those meetings, you know. Atletico Madrid, obviously they took over, and uh, I don't know, like it's still sort of like fishing in the how can I say? Um,
But that's a serious allegation, like paying
yeah.
up for referee and
No, it is almost similar to like this Juventus in 2004-5 that season actually.
yeah,
The allegation actually how can I say, the strength of it, like is almost the same as that time, and Juventus actually was relegated at that time.
yeah.
And if that sort of things happens, actually the hardest punishment will come, and um, yeah, with Real as on the side of Barcelona, there will be like a little bit consequences as well. So
Yep. That's doesn't doesn't paint a good picture of Barcelona. And each time Barcelona under Laporta
no,
has been
yeah,
in scrutiny, what they've used Messi's name.
yeah, of course, like every time there was, I guess, like there was a meeting between him and how can I say, what's his name? Yeah, Jorge
Jorge
Messi.
Messi. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
and it was
more of
like
yeah. Go ahead.
right after that. I guess like Messi's brother was saying that like he's not going to go back to Barcelona, but
Yeah.
that's right after 1 week, and we have seen that actually like so far with Mbappe. And I'm thinking about like, okay, it's not he- well, he seems really happy in Paris. At least his performance, also like his body language, or what he's done so far last few weeks. And I don't think he's coming back or something like that.
No.
He's using it as a leverage or something like that.
Yeah.
Actually,
Exactly. And also, I think Jorge Messi, whatever was known, was more of a call from Laporta. They want to give Messi a kind of grand kind of bid, saying thank you and nothing about his transfer. So there is no offer from Barcelona basically. Although some journalists, as they always do, have asked Xavi, who's a friend, he had to say that the door is always open for him. But again, that
Yeah, even when Messi visited Barcelona a few days ago, he still has his home there, and I guess like Busquets and Jordi
Jordi
Alba's
Alba,
family was, yeah, they were actually together and they spent some time. And it's understandable actually. Like, and Xavi he couldn't actually do it because he's a coach now, so it would have create all sort of things
yeah,
or talks.
absolutely.
So yeah,
So,
but
but
this
those are
is
very serious
understandable.
allegations
Yeah,
against Barcelona.
yeah,
They're leading
yeah,
the chart on the La Liga,
yeah.
and it seems like fairly favorable position for them up until right now. There's some concern about injuries, but you do expect some of the games, some of the tough games are right now will be played on Camp Nou, so that might be another factor as well. But Um, coming back to La Liga, is there anything else? There's some crazy games involved. Real Betis is always, Real Betis. Always watch them. They're very entertaining team. And also related to Villarreal, there are some interesting games. I was following, especially Real Betis games. There's some very close games and very entertaining ones as well.
Yeah.
Other than
3
those,
2 against Elche, I guess. Like,
yeah, exactly. It was a crazy game again.
yeah,
Elche was leading 2-0 up until um, I think 20 odd minute. They were leading 2
yeah,
0 and it was a great comeback for Real Betis. And there was an offside goal was ruled out as well for Elche.
yeah.
Um,
And also, like, Bilbao lost their way. They lost against Girona.
yeah, Bilbao.
They were on form, like, so far, first half of the season.
They were actually on
But
top 3 or 4, I think, team. And
yeah,
something happened. I think I'm not very sure what happened. Probably the lack of depth in the bench or something, or some of the players
yeah,
getting injured. And also Valverde. I mean, he has the way of playing. I think I was surprised the way Bilbao was playing under him, because normally Bilbao is not as attractive. Sorry, Valverde's team is not as attractive. He's a very pragmatic coach, but Bilbao was
mm,
playing some great football.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, also I think the other part is uh, Real Sociedad is still keeping up in terms of points, and I think there's a very good chance of them. Actually, I
there,
don't know.
it, there was actually like a chance to move it forward and a little bit get closer to Real Madrid because they drew against Celta Vigo.
Yeah,
Also with the red card in that match as well. So like, yeah, La Liga. Um, I don't know.
La
Like
Liga
for
has
some reason they,
91 red card, which is way more than than
yeah,
any other leagues.
exactly. And also like some, well, most of them they don't actually make sense in so many ways. Yeah, you mentioned that Madrid derby. It was an important game actually in so many ways and so many levels. Um, Apart from historically, because Atletico Madrid is right now in the fourth position with like 42 points and 1 point behind Real Sociedad, and also like there are some talks going on with Atletico that like Simeone, who will actually leave probably after this season, and I guess like Kiktetien or what's his name, Valverde probably will take over. One of them actually. Um, So
That is interesting because I can't remember. Well, last time I remember is Javi Aguirre, who was Atletico boss, and then Simeone came in, and it's been forever. I mean, how long
yeah,
it's been? Um,
12 years almost. Yeah,
yeah,
12 years.
yeah, it's crazy. But it would be a very different whoever it is. It would be very, we have to get used to that.
Yeah, and also like I think he lost his squad actually in a way, because half of the squad is not like playing, almost
And I don't
five,
understand his
five,
selection as
six
well.
players. Yeah, well, until we have some prime documentaries, we cannot say what's going on
Well,
inside.
he keeps selecting Carrasco, who never passes anyone. He always
Yeah,
goes solo.
he was. Yeah, he was always wanted to take over, or like take on all the defense by himself or something like that. Um, yeah, and especially with like a counter-attacking team, you need to pass the ball. Especially you need to open up the opposition. But he doesn't do that actually anymore. Uh, actually, what's his name? Griezmann was playing well, and that's why they actually still, I don't know, in the Champions League spot, but it's not that solid actually.
Yeah, but yeah, lot to digest about Simeone, and
Yeah,
if it's his last season, I mean, yeah, we have to probably go and look at what it could have been because he was so close twice about Champions League final. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, anyway, anything more to add in La Liga discussion?
No, actually, Barcelona made a great success against Cadiz.
Hmm.
Finally, last time they played in, I guess, like in Cadiz, they lost so far in this season as well. Or they won, I forgot actually. But there are like still 15 matches to go, like almost half of the season there. And Barcelona has only like this match and Copa del Rey matches. So, do you think like well, they at some point both of the teams will drop points, but do you think like Real Madrid still have a chance or something like that?
Well, there is definitely a little bit of chance, but normally in their heydays, if Barcelona or Real Madrid, whoever is leading by 7 points, that's a
No.
significant amount of points to go and win it. I I wouldn't say they have won it already, but I would say 60 to 65%. There's very good chance Barcelona winning it this season. And given that Real still is running deep in the Europe,
Yeah.
and Barcelona doesn't have Europe, that's another additional bonus for them.
Yeah. Also, like it was, I was surprised to see Real not spending anything in the January transfer because they have still have the defensive issues. Tchouaméni, I don't know, like for the Tchouaméni, Kamavinga, for some reason they are not actually like syncing up like they did last season. Um, and they are trying to solve like so many problems at a time, and there were uh, yeah, there was a problem with what's his name, the left back, uh, younger left back,
Mendy.
what's his name, Mendy, yeah, with him and Ancelotti, and I think he showed up late in the training or something like that, and there he was actually arguing with him, and Ancelotti basically said that like he's not going to play or see the grass again for Real Madrid. And
Oh,
also like he did actually try to push a move this summer and also like in the winter, um, it, in into PSG, but it did not materialize. And I guess like it is understandable how Mendes was playing there so far, and his link up with Lionel Messi right now is one of the best thing PSG sides have actually right now. Um, but Mendy is also like a brilliant player. And last night they played with Nacho. Um, and also like they played Antonio Rudiger sometimes in this position as well. So yeah, also like they needed a left back, also a striker, as opposed to like they don't have anyone who can actually like how can I say score if Benzema is not playing. And the link up they tried to solve was also like a right winger problem and something like that. Like there are some stuffs going on like in midfield. What I have seen from Real Madrid, um, which is like a little bit I don't know surprising, but not surprising at all because given the age of the midfielders, and I don't know. It seems like a small hole actually in the midfield because some players are not like running as they before.
No, definitely. And even the games they won it in parts, like not entire game that
Yeah,
the team or midfield was functioning. Um,
yeah,
and also another factor because you brought up Real Madrid and you brought up Ancelotti and obviously Mendy. If if Mendy is not playing, I understand. They have lots of. I mean, Real Madrid is one of the team that gets away with lots of like temporary kind of solution. You remember, over the years, especially in Europe, and in La Liga, I guess, except Barcelona, there is not much really threat. Uh, so I guess they're waiting um, on the summer window to free up some players and probably get some new ones. And they did buy the two strikers back then. I mean, one was Jovic, who didn't really materialize, and
yeah.
then there is Mariano, who cannot score anything. Um, Also, there was an incident of David Alaba voting for Leo Messi as a best player in the FIFA and got been scrutinized by the and racially abused by the Real Madrid fans in Twitter, and he as much as that he had to come up with an explanation and tweet it back, which I found was staggering given that Vinny Jr. Being racially abused and Real Madrid fans being supportive of that, but then they they basically abused another racially another
It's
player.
always the same group of like a mob people in Twitter. Um, it's almost always like the same group of people actually. The thing is that like how you deal with this sort of situation.
No, then it makes a
Real
difference
Madrid
because
did
Alaba
not.
came out and he had to explain. I mean, why he had to explain, I don't know, but he
Yeah, exactly.
came.
It's like giving up on mob. Someone says something and which is like really insignificant. Like even if we, even if, like well, very given that like there are people can say anything they want, but the thing is that like with the what's his name, Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford incident in 2020 Euro, and there were some things going on in England right now, like against those sort of abuse in the social media. But it's not that actually active in other like other countries as well as like other languages, especially uh, like in Spanish speaking countries as well as like ours is also as well. Um, so yeah, it's a shame actually, but he did not have had actually have to do it actually. No.
Yeah, I kind of thought of I don't know the backlash of Real Madrid and the board of directors doesn't want to upset them. I guess he was taking the salary from. But coming back to all of this, I mean, Barcelona does look to be in control. It's their title to lose rather than someone taking over. They have everything on their hand. Uh, And there has been some impressive win over the course. I mean, some of the very impressive wins away, some clinical performances over the time. Now they have to keep doing it, I guess, just to make sure they win it.
Yeah.
Before we move into our next discussion on next league or something, do
Mm.
you want to add anything at all?
No,
Oh,
I don't have anything.
okay. In that case, we can move into the most
Yeah.
interesting league that is going on in the Europe, uh, Bundesliga.
Bundesliga.
Is Bayern still gonna win it?
Looks like it. Also, Dortmund seems like they are back. Uh, with they have same points as Bayern, but there was this goal difference, which actually gave an edge to Bayern. Um, Union Berlin had their chance this week, last weekend actually, which is sad actually. And I thought like that is the thing actually. Uh, they are doing like they are sort of like in Newcastle sort of situation, you know. They did not expect that actually that they will be there in the on the top and fight. Even like with like given that they have a chance, as Bayern is not actually playing that well. So they have a chance to they had a chance to take over that position, and they did not actually do well in that case because they are like we talked about like Becker and his partner, like this dual striker,
Mm-hmm.
like a string. When we explained how they played, it was interesting. But in the second half of the season, especially right after the World Cup, actually, uh, like what I have seen, it's so interesting. Is that like right now? German teams are putting the ball up a little bit, you know, and try to get the second balls. So it's sort of like, have you watched that match actually against Frankfurt versus Leipzig last weekend? So it was basically sort of like a Premier League match. Went on
Yeah.
between the both of the two teams, and it was end to end, and also like whoever like we were talking about Berlin versus sorry, Union Berlin versus Bayern Munich, and thing is that like Munich actually looked dangerous. That scored their first two goals actually from that actually those creation of the goal actually started when they won a second ball in the midfield, and there were some space whenever you receive the second ball or like fighting for the second ball, it actually creates sort of like a how can I say wall in the midfield, and it creates all sorts of spaces for other team as well. So you need to get back and stuff like that. And what happened actually? Their defensive side of the midfield, because they defense with like normally 3-3 sort of shape in front of the goal, which actually they don't actually give any spaces. Um, and what happened actually, like those three midfielders were like out of shape. They aren't actually close, and Munich has players like Thomas Muller and Musiala, especially Musiala. They actually they started receiving the ball in between the lines, and that actually created all sort of problems in in that game actually. And right now it's like in a way technically it's a closer league to Premier League than the other ones actually in actually in playing style. And also like if you have seen, like everyone is beating everyone,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's how actually they do it. Actually like weaker teams, they have a tendency, what we have seen in Premier League in early 90s or
Or even
90s,
2000s. Yeah.
2000s, yeah, most of the time in 2000s actually, they world like they actually like how can I say push the ball up, uh, create some sort of like a long ball and try to wall off the opposition midfield in the and by winning the second ball, and they actually they are doing it actually. This sort of
Yeah,
things.
when you put up the ball, someone has to come from their position
Yeah,
to head it. So that creates a
yeah,
gap.
yeah,
And if they don't
yeah,
don't win it, the opposition wins
yeah,
it. There creates another gap because someone tries to cover that position, and then you
yeah,
create a bit of confusion at that split second. You can go back, and at that point you can have the numerical advantage. With speed, you can go and try to score as much as possible or create something out of it. Um,
yeah.
so just explain to those who are in case wondering what a second ball is. Um, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Given the style of the play, given how the tempo of the games and to end stuff, and sometimes even the
Also, there are
physicality.
better runners. Yeah, exactly. Also, like there are better runners, and there are some players coming up. Like, I actually quite like this player from Leipzig, Leimer. He was basically in last few weeks. He was in like this sort of Maradona, you know, situation because nobody could touch him in some certain ways. But his finishing is still awful. Otherwise, he would have actually scored quite a few goals, which actually boost up his confidence a little bit more. And that's how it works normally. Um, but this player is like doing well. So does Kolo Muani.
Hmm.
Um, uh, he probably scored like 14, 15 goal and also like assisted like 10 goals,
Hmm.
11 goals and stuff like that. And he was also like a really good, how can I say, he can do actually like he can play in all three positions up. Um, and but normally I would see him like a false nine. Sometimes he plays like a false nine, but sometimes he plays like a number 10. Sometimes he plays like a genuine number 9,
Yeah.
especially like in the final third of the box, like in the around 6 years. He looks like a really dangerous prospect
Yeah.
for
What
Frankfurt.
he has, both fit finishing, he has a
Yeah,
composure,
yeah.
and even he picks up the passes. Um, I think after the World
And
Cup,
that jump against like
yeah,
uh, Leipzig defense, he was like probably he jumped up like I don't know 1 meter or something like that, but he could not touch the ball or get a sniff sniff out of it. But uh, if the ball is a little bit lower, he would have actually scored that goal. And actually, he has also like a good header as well.
yeah, it does. And what I was going to say is about confidence because
Yeah,
almost before the World Cup, nobody knows who Colomwani was. And then Colomwani gets a chance, plays in the final, almost scores the winner, uh,
yeah,
comes back, with the confidence, he's a totally different player with his talent.
yeah. Also, like he's doing well before the World Cup as well, but there weren't actually that
Enough
much of a
chances were
game.
given.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Also, Frankfurt, they sometimes rotate players, rotate positions sometimes. So there are a few things actually what's going on. But what I've seen so far, one of the best games, it was Leipzig versus Frankfurt last week. Um, it was a fun one to watch. Also, technically, if how can I say, Union Berlin actually bottled up a little bit.
Yeah.
And if they bought a few players, like especially they have some problems in I guess like they drew against Frankfurt or someone else last week, the week before, uh, and they actually lost against Bayern Munich. So like there goes
And
like
also
5 points.
they did lose in the Europa League as well. I think it was it Porto or something. Can't remember at this point.
Mm, yeah, me neither. I actually
Or
haven't
Ajax,
watched.
probably. Or they haven't lost. It was a close game. Um, I'll have to
I
double
forgot
check
actually.
on that. So yeah, against Ajax, actually they are through uh, by 3-1 against Ajax. So they're still
Okay.
alive on that competition.
I remember that they were ahead of 2 goals
Yeah.
before I fall asleep, actually. But yeah. Yeah, but the problem is that like if we are fighting in both front, you need some players, and they're like widely dependent on those players, like Becker especially. And I understand that it's looks sort of like his breakthrough season or something like that, but they still need another player who can actually back up those like both of the strikers actually. Yeah, that's why I thought like they would have actually bring someone in January transfer, but they did not actually. Or did they bought someone? I forgot, but it's not working. Uh, but given that the squad depths and the players and the investors they have so far, being in like third position is not that actually bad at all.
No, definitely not.
But they
Given
could have
that
actually
when
done better.
you're against
Yeah,
one of the giants at the Europe, Bayern
yeah,
Munich.
yeah. True.
Um, okay. What else? I think
Dortmund is coming back actually. They sneak past, I guess, what's his name? Hoffenheim by 1-0, and playing in Hoffenheim's field is a little bit. When I say it's one of those fields you just want to just move past. Um, Leverkusen is still like hot and cold.
yeah,
Freiburg still going on, but not as hard as they were. But with Dortmund, they are in the title race finally again.
yeah. I mean,
They,
obviously, Sebastian Haller is
yeah,
playing again and he's scoring
yeah,
goals.
yeah.
Kudos to him, being diagnosed with cancer and coming back and playing professional league and
Also,
playing.
yeah, also like Karim Adiami
Adiemi
is,
has been is an electric
yeah,
player. So there's been a lot obviously with Dortmund that is clicking at this point, which was
yeah.
not clicking at let's say as well in the first half of the season.
Yeah, and also like the backup of Haller, Mullen, he's doing well as well. He scored in against Hertha Berlin actually, so he's doing well. I don't know. Jude Bellingham, he seems some sort of like an injury problem, a little bit. So they slowed it down for a while. And I guess like they have some fights in Europe as well, right?
Yeah, they're leading 1-0
Oh,
against
they're
Chelsea.
playing, yeah, Chelsea, yeah. So yeah, oh, they're doing so far well, and it looks like they will move past. I don't know if what's his name, Potter. Uh,
Not Harry Potter,
I don't
Graham
know. He's
Potter.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I guess like he's wishing he's Harry Potter right now.
uh, yeah.
Thing
So
is that like with Chelsea, I don't see them actually because like last week or the week before they
let's
lost
talk
against
that
Southampton.
on the Europe, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll talk
No,
about Europe.
I'm getting there actually. Like, and the
Okay.
next game is in the Stamford Bridge, and actually they lost the game against Southampton in Stamford Bridge. So
Yeah,
I
it's
don't see
nothing.
them actually
Nothing is
coming back
happening.
in the against. Yeah. But they could have actually like they played fairly well against Borussia Dortmund up until that goal, and everyone was saying like they should have actually what's his name, Enzo Fernandez should have actually closed what's his name, who,
Adiemi?
Adiemi down or
No,
something like, yeah.
no.
But the thing is that like he could have actually done it because there was this sort of like a doubtful moment when Adiemi was receiving the ball and Enzo actually did not stepped in. Normally that is the time actually you stepped in, and that is the time actually like where Araujo is so decisive.
Right.
He normally stepped in those sort of times and did not actually like settle the attacker or Vinny Junior in that case in that Clasico game last night, and Enzo let that actually.
Well, I guess on his defense, I'd say that he was known as the last guy. He knew that he was
Yeah,
the last guy, and if he missed that, then he's giving
yeah,
away
yeah, yeah.
the chances. So it's right to
No, you just have to be a little bit closer.
yeah,
You
no,
know, like not close enough, but not like sort of like leading the way. You know,
yeah,
but
but then
still, like when he did that, actually at the end, he like took the shot and scored anyway.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, credit to Adeyemi. It's been electric, and
Yeah.
it's probably, if I'm not wrong, he's the fastest player in the Bundesliga. So yeah, and I think I
Yeah,
think
there are
yeah,
quite a few players actually,
yeah,
like they're
exactly. But he would be
really
right
fast
among
in
them.
Bundesliga.
Uh,
Yeah.
but then to leave Enzo only at the back doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. It raises some question to the Potter's thinking.
Yeah. Also, it seems like Thiago Silva is their best defender right now, and he is out injured for like next 3 weeks, I guess. Um, so that tells a story actually. They need sort of like a leadership or something which they could not get because Aspilicueta is also injured.
Hmm.
Thiago Silva is injured. So Dortmund has a good chance to go against even win the game, even they make it a draws, they will go through. But there is a chance they, if they score one, because Chelsea is coming, they have to come. And Adiami is known for like how can I say getting into those spaces, and also like how Brand is playing so
Hmm.
far.
Hmm.
Um, he's sort of like in this like sort of how can I say he either make like at least one key passes in every games, and that is defining game defining most of the time. Uh, and it will be hard for Dortmund to keep him. I don't know after this season, but he's still there so far. Royce is like doing well as well, like in his new role as a central midfielder or like they sort of like create like a 4-1-4-1 sometimes situation. So yeah, they're doing well.
Yeah, it would be a lot for Chelsea to come back. I mean, think of a team that cannot beat Southampton at this point, and Southampton is struggling
Yeah,
in English Premier
yeah.
League. And you're asking them, and
Chelsea Chelsea did not score in last 6 hours of game time.
that's a lot.
More than 6 hours actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's a
that's
lot.
yeah, that's a lot. It's like I don't know, 3 4 games. I didn't know this. Yeah, went without scoring.
Should take a loan of a Mitrovic from Fulham. But yeah, just jokes apart. From there, I mean, there was other German team involved in the Champions League is Bayern Munich,
Yeah,
and we talked about that first leg against PSG, right?
yeah.
So we're not going to waste our time on that. Um,
Um, Leipzig played against City, I guess. Like City
yeah,
won it
1-1.
or 1-1 it was. Yeah,
What they
it was
all
1-1.
scored.
So yeah, it was a stunning free kick actually. So yeah, uh, uh, I don't know like if they have any chance against City in their own half, like
Well, you never know.
because it was played in Leipzig, but City sometimes bottled it up in the Europe. So like if you remember the famous one against Monaco, that team, um, so they still have a chance actually.
Yeah,
And Leipzig in some certain days actually, like I just mentioned against their game against Frankfurt. Leipzig sometimes like outrun the opposition and create all sort of problems. So um, Pep Guardiola team has to be worried, and if they think that they can take it lightly, they will be wrong.
for sure. Um, but yeah, that was not what I was expecting from Manchester City. Like I did expect a lot more penetration, and that comes back to the point we have this talked about of having Haaland and the structures around.
Mhm.
It's not that
Yeah,
easy to find that balance.
yeah. It's not that actually hard actually. If you that's why he went back in genuine wingers like Riyad Mahrez is playing um, a lot of games, uh,
But then there's a
and he's not like.
that says that Julian Alvarez, whenever he started, he scored.
Yeah, he does. But that's sort of like a decision he has to make because with Julian Alvarez, is like always in the front foot. Um, so there is always like a defensive issues with that as well. And Julian Alvarez, like when he comes up late and they are trailing, he's like a best thing for them actually in this sort of situation because we discussed it like he's really good in finding spaces and half spaces, and he operates in a little like a really good tight spaces, and also like with him it's easy to how can I say press so far what we have seen. So yeah, that's how. So it's sort of like a moral judgment, like what you can do with him and what you cannot, and
Yeah.
where you use him. And also like there are talks going on between his agent because they are demanding a little bit more money because they have money. Also other clubs are interested in
And he's a
Julian
World Cup
Alvarez as
winner.
well. Yeah, that's why 4 goals in the World Cup. It's
Yeah,
not that
yeah,
actually.
it does deserve a little bit of race,
Yeah.
definitely. They got him cheap anyway from River Plate on the standard. Um, but yeah, coming back to like Leipzig game, I mean, City have to be their absolute best to and absolute best, not just up until the final third, but they have to put the game.
Also there is a thing going on between when I say uh, it's not between club and fans and stuff like that because but fans are not showing up in Etihad for some reason, and Pep Guardiola was saying something, and he was even saying when they were 11 points down um, against Arsenal or 8 point, I forgot actually, because he was saying exactly like this, like we have to win our fans back or something like that. And there are seats empty in Etihad Stadium, and German fans are known for taking over stadiums. If Leipzig do that, actually, that would be actually a shock for them. Actually,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. That that cannot happen again. um, okay. Uh, let's move somewhere else to the other games.
yeah.
Who else did play? We talked about a little bit about Liverpool versus Real Madrid, and I guess you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Like so many stuffs going on in that field at the same time, and Liverpool actually scored twice before Madrid even I don't know, have settled down or something like that,
They
and
were
then when they
sleeping.
did actually, yeah, sort of like that actually. So they should have actually scored those goals after 80 minutes or something like that. But yeah, when they did actually, Madrid came into life and they basically destroyed Liverpool in Anfield. And I guess like this is the first time in European or in any European season they actually considered uh,
Five
five
goals
goals.
on
Yeah,
Anfield. Yeah.
yeah. So what happened actually? Let me show. Go back to the. It was really very simple because like Liverpool team is known for their pace and pressing up and getting the ball early, especially in the final third. Um, but this season they suffered some injuries and stuff like that. And what happened actually? I don't know, like they are still a Klopp team, but they don't want they cannot actually perform like a Klopp team or something like that. Um, yeah, when they actually maintain that structure, uh, because Salah love to push in this sort of half space. I guess Gakpo played and Darwin Nunez played, and Gakpo played as sort of like an extra midfielder. Um, it's sort of like a 4-4-2 diamond against Madrid's 4-4-3-3, I guess. And Madrid's 4-4-3-3 is sort of like a becomes like a 4-4-2 when they don't have balls. Um, so what happened actually? Like the both of the Liverpool wingers actually pushed up. That's sort of like a how can I say um, their main creative source. And Henderson actually backed up. How can I say what's his name? Trent Alexander-Arnold. And whenever Vinny is getting ball, he always stepped up and neutralized the situation. And after scoring that actually first goal, what happened actually? Liverpool, uh, they actually did not actually maintain this thing. Like when they were in this position, they can actually play as a Pep Guardiola team because they don't have actually that much pace, but they can actually play because they're midfield like Henderson and everyone else. Whoever is playing in that midfield, they're actually basically functioning. And also like with Pep Guardiola team back in like 2000s, or that Barcelona team or Bayern Munich team, they're how can I say their fullbacks are like more creative than the sometimes in the central midfielder. Even like if you saw that like Dani Alves was creating um, more goals than Xavi or Iniesta. He's assisting Lionel Messi more, and um, they could have actually played those sort of football, but to do so, they should have actually maintained because whenever they're playing, they looked actually dangerous. Whenever they maintain these half spaces, like there is this thing Pep Guardiola followed, like you cannot actually occupy like more than two players vertically in any sort of spaces, as we know that like the defensive space actually like can we draw some
Yeah, I guess. At the bottom.
it's just a box circle. No, I don't
No, no,
want
no.
to do this.
There should be another one just under the box, laser or something. You can use laser. No, 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 not that one. Yeah, it it would vanish, but
Yeah.
definitely you can show.
Oh yeah. Okay. So like the whole pitch should have actually divided in five spaces actually. This is the first one, second one, this is the third one, middle space, and this is the second half space, and this is the final space, like these five spaces. And Liverpool looked well whenever there were actually like two players, like occupied this sort of like two vertical spaces, and this space is occupied by two players like this, two midfielders, and they looked actually vulnerable when they actually what Madrid did, uh, they actually overload the midfield, and uh, whenever they overloaded their midfield, all of their players in the attacking third, they actually created sort of like a, they actually work against, Liverpool actually work against, tried to work against that midfield, like overloaded midfield. But what happened actually, it freed up Vinny Junior in the wing, and out of panic, Henderson, Alexander Arnold, and what's his name, Mo Salah, they occupied like three this full space actually, and sometimes they were actually occupying these sort of half spaces altogether. So there were actually like three players. That means actually like one against three. That should have mean actually one against three. But actually, if you are playing the ball behind, it's always like one versus one situations, you know. So that's how actually Madrid did it. Actually, they overloaded the midfield and create sort of like a false illusion that like they are in control of the midfield, because they could have actually pass, and out of panic, it's like magic, you know, like if some magician show you a card, like this is the card, you know, like this is the how can I say, this is the bird or this is the card, and you are seeing there, but magic is happening something somewhere else. So like this happened actually like this. Ancelotti made this magic with his magician midfielder, Modric, and I guess like too many Kamavinga played well. Also Benzema sometimes like drop down, so like it sort of looked like they have extra body in the midfield because they overloaded the mid area and the half spaces, and it freed up actually like when they're playing long balls, and Liverpool are occupying like out of panic. They thought like they are covering, how can I say, Vinny Junior, but Vinny Junior is always 1v1 against like Henderson, and Henderson is not that fast, so does their defenders. So like it create always 1v1 situations, and yeah, that's how actually they looked so dangerous in that sort of time, like especially like I guess like after second goals, like in 30 minutes to 60 minutes or stuff like that, they already scored like five times or four times, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Again, and it was bad, but good thing about Liverpool is that it's only 3 goals. If they can somehow figure out and
Yeah, and I was actually thinking about like they should have actually thought about it. Like for example, they looked actually really dangerous. Liverpool. Most of the time, they look dangerous whenever they're attacking from the right side.
yeah,
You know, um, and that is also the Real Madrid's strong points. And we have seen in World Cup final, Scaloni outsmarted Deschamps by playing Di Maria not in the right side but in the left side, and they were actually like attacking, because if you are attacking on the other side, you have to go cross the ball or stuff like that. Then there is this, like a situation like a how can I say, winning the second ball in the midfielder in the defense. And Vinny Junior is not getting the ball because like you have a Van Dijk or Gomez or someone else or Henderson who are actually taller than Vinny Junior. So that should have actually solved the problem, but it wouldn't actually, if you think about it, because thing is that with the difference between that French team and Real Madrid is that Real Madrid can play through uh, Liverpool in the middle.
They can pass it around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that is the thing. Like they started like doing this thing in the midfield, and it created sort of like a free flowing rondo or something like that. And Spanish teams actually like always good with balls. Even like if you have seen, even they played against Manchester City, the positional difference is not that actually far. Um, so they created sort of like a free flowing rondo in the midfield and created sort of like a illusion of control or something like that. And Liverpool panicked and they tried to back up because like Madrid was always going in the uh, going in attack on that left side, and by doing so, um, Liverpool has like three players on that vertical spaces with instead of two players. So it created sort of like took out all already like one player. So like it was a man advantage in attack. So that's how they did it actually. It was fun to watch actually, like technically,
Uh,
and then solve the problem on field.
yeah.
After conceding two goals. I guess like that is the brilliant of Real Madrid in Champions League. That's how they did it so far.
Well, they're obviously you cannot deny that they're brilliant in Champions League. Coming back to the other team that is
Mm.
actually exciting is Napoli going in Frankfurt and winning it 2-0.
Yeah,
Uh,
Frankfurt up
and there was a
until that
missed
red card actually.
penalty as well.
Yeah, and up until that red card actually, Frankfurt looked well, but after the red card, I actually stopped following that game.
Yeah.
Actually,
But again, there's Victor Osimhen score, and then you have
mm,
Di Lorenzo. The goal was
yeah.
a brilliant team goal for Australia. It's been brilliant. But yeah, Napoli, you'd favor them going into their home and probably keeping and retaining the lead, and even obviously they would be probably
But
back
will
themselves.
probably add more goals,
Yeah, exactly.
most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, up until that red card, actually, they did well so far. And there was I think that the most nail-biting game was against like Porto versus Inter, because Porto is not like giving any sort of like space or anything.
But who scored
And
for Inter?
Lukaku.
Lukaku. He's so expensive for and so valuable for Inter Milan. They've decided to not sign Dybala. Um, so eventually, I mean, obviously Lukaku scoring that goal, but Inter didn't look that convincing. I mean, they've been hot and cold.
Um, yeah, because like Lukaku is already over 30,
Zeko is
not in
almost
good
40.
shape. Zeko is, yeah, almost 40. And who else? Like
uh, Çalhanoğlu and
Mkhitaryan.
then
Yeah,
Mkhitaryan.
Mkhitaryan played. Yeah, Mkhitaryan played in that game actually. He's, I don't know, 35 almost.
Yeah,
So some of the players are like I don't know, out of their depth in a way. And that's why they looked actually hot and cold, because they don't have actually serial performers from the bench as well. Like also like a younger performers, and sometimes you need, especially if you're playing against Porto or team like that. Actually, they scored in after that red card when they are men down. So mm, I don't know, like they played at home in San Siro, but Porto did not actually give any spaces. So that actually sums up. And then you are going to play against Porto in like Portugal. It would be tough. One of the
S-
like a hostile environment
so that is not over.
in
That
Europe,
tie is
Portugal.
not over. Definitely, it's just one
Yeah,
goal.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
Um, who else played?
Yeah, we discussed about City and Leipzig. Uh,
Okay.
I guess like this is the fourth game.
Okay, so I guess we have discussed every game. Um, uh, do we want to focus on Manchester United's win against Barcelona in Europa?
Mm, there's not much actually to
To add,
discuss
it
about
was
because
almost, yeah.
yeah, it was almost done when Pedri left the pitch. Actually, and that's the thing I want to add a little bit thing like for Xavi, he seems like a good manager in some certain ways. But if you want to win cups, especially the knockout rounds, you need to solve like two, three problems at a time in the on field. Also, like you need players like they have these tactical abilities. For example, Busquets is a tactical player, so we know that actually, but he's not like a problem solver. Pedri was. He does not have anyone else on that field. Sometimes Frankie De Jong does that actually, but he's not like that on that level. He did not actually picked up that level. So he needs some problem solvers on the on field or some what we call leaders. But also like the thing is like if you want to win cups, you need to also like try to try and win it differently and have a practice of it because winning the league is like more being on that position and like what we do week out basis. But we in the cup matches, especially in the Europe, you are playing in different teams in every other weekend, not weekend, every other middle of the week. It's like 3 days after, normally 2 3 days after, and they are playing in different how can I say, different sort of football. And nowadays like there is physicality involved, like the players can make like teams can make 5 changes, so like almost a new team after after 60 to 80 minutes, especially last 10 minutes, which eventually becomes normally like 95th minute or 96th minute. So like you have to fight for like 100 minutes in those sort of games. And even in like some if you are playing in against Manchester United, and what they did so far in this season, they beat Arsenal when Arsenal had a good run of like 10 wins in a row or something like that. They beat them in Old Trafford. They beat Liverpool in Old Trafford. They beat Manchester City as well in Old Trafford. So if you are going against a team like that in Old Trafford, you need some sort of like a mental boost as well. Also, like you have to be precise in some ways. Like it's not about like how can I say winning a game uh, uh, in certain way and certain place. You can do that thing when your team is completely built. But this team, uh, they basically bought some experienced players who may or may not suit, or they got them in say on sale actually. We can say that because like 4 or 5 of them actually came in as a free agent or something like that. So they are building a new team. So does Manchester United. But the difference between United and them actually is that like United spent so much money, uh, almost over a billion in last 10 years since Fergie left. But those quality of the players, they are still there, but they are not in Barcelona anymore. So that is the difference between that rebuild and this rebuild. So that's why United have an edge. uh, when Pedri went down, they don't did not have anyone. They, like for example, they solved this problem against Real Madrid because they have time. But normally in tournament they don't have much time. So Xavi had to or has to or will have to like think fast, and if they want to ever want to win anything in Europe. And that's the difference between Xavi and Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola did it in his first season with Barcelona
But
in
then
the
he
Champions League.
inherited a better team, isn't it?
Yeah, but thing is that like he also did some how can I say plucked. plucked some players, like even Ronaldinho.
No, no,
Even there were some problems,
I get that. I get that totally. But
and that team actually have much more dressing room problems than this one, because these players actually, like, they will die for Barcelona. They took salary cuts, but that team has characters like Samuelito, who was unhappy already with Barcelona in the middle of the season, and he has to play him. He benched him once or twice, and that did not went well for him. So he sold him next season, but he had to deal with him in the middle of the season. But Xavi saw that actually on first hand. But this dressing room is like all sync. Everything is sync. They are actually getting beaten up in Europe because of tactics, like small tweaks and stuff like that. So he has to always think about alternative, like alternative ways to win or something like that.
yeah, I guess you're correct on that. Uh, yeah, I don't have anything to add, to be honest.
I actually have something to add. If anyone is following us, I would actually recommend. Like, recently, I have become Sean Dyche a huge fan. For some reason, I don't know. I watched his master class, his interview, and it looks so interesting. He, I guess, like, he was a coach for Burnley for a while, for 10, 15 years. I don't know. He plays like a really basic 4-4-2, and what he does actually, like, we know what he does. Like, he defends like really in on it's like their life depending on it, and when they goes for an attack, they do it like really swiftly. So yeah, if anyone is watching, I would recommend, or anyone is a technical nerd, I would recommend his videos actually, like masterclass video. It was a fun one to watch. Also, like, if anyone is starting, like, trying to teach or trying to be a coach, it's like a really good place to start, I guess, like Basics of Football by Sean Dyche or something like that.
Well, John Dyke has been influential for a long time. Has done for a long time in a relegation zone. Um, yeah. Uh, anything else?
No,
Okay.
I don't have anything else.
On that case, I guess we're wrapping it up. Thank you for watching. In case anyone is watching, and make sure that you let us know that what kind of content you want to see, what kind of coverage you want to see for a certain club, and for the competition, and let us know how we're doing. Other than that, we'll be hopefully back by next week. And yeah, thank you for watching.
Thanks.